Digital Keyboards Incorporated is proud to announce a new breakthrough in digital sound synthesis with the most expressive keyboard ever produced, the Synergy. Professional musicians are aware that various digital hardware and software have been designed to produce expensive digital synthesizers. The Synergy brings about the most useful and exciting features into a self-contained keyboard that is well within the price range of today's performing musician. The Synergy's features are so unique and the sound so expressive that they can't even be compared to existing keyboards. Here is a quick rundown of the features. There are 24 preset voices on the Synergy, all made from the $30,000 General Development System. Don't let the word preset fool you, though. Each voice can be altered in hundreds of ways to provide you with limitless possibilities and deviations. Let's just take one voice and show you the possibilities. First, each voice has a degree of sensitivity assigned to it. This sensitivity is the way the keyboard velocity will affect it. This touch sensitivity can be programmed for each voice independently and by you. This means you can have a different touch response for each and every voice, even going on at the same time. In this first voice, the key velocity is set up to produce both volume and timbre changes. You can program it to affect just volume, just timbre, or both. Remember, each voice has its own set of touch responsive characteristics, and we'll get to the other voices later. After you have altered the touch sensitivity in the way you want, you might wish to add some vibrato. Your choices include immediate, delayed, or random fluctuations that are very small or very large. You can set a different vibrato for each and every voice. Next, you can treat your voice with portamento, of which there are 3 types: smooth and retriggered every time you hit a key, smooth and not retriggered, and quantized into semitones. More importantly, the portamento almost follows your hands around the keyboard, giving you the capability of sliding one note to the next, having full chords in any inversion slide to another chord or inversion and get there at the same time, play a chord and have independent notes glide, or have voices cross and even pass through each other. Once again, you can have a different portamento rate and type for each voice. Each voice can be programmed with channel assignment, one side of the stage, the other side of the stage, alternating side to side, or both sides. You can have some voices in stereo, some to the left, some to the right. Once again, each voice is independent with respect to its assigned channel. Your alteration of each voice continues with the ability to transpose each voice independently and have programmable pitch bend. Each voice can be limited also to monophonic playing or polyphonic playing. You can alter each voice with respect to the way it interacts with other voices. Before we get into that, let's listen to some of the voices in the 24 presets, which have their own touch-responsive characteristics. You see, the voices are each voiced with 32 digital oscillators and hundreds of envelope points, which make them precise and controllable. When they are made on the General Development System, they are made with the touch-responsive characteristics that are right for the voice. The first voice has subtle timbre changes as you increase velocity. This piano voice increases in both timbre quality and volume. This voice combines volume, a different timbre, and modulation. The next voice has a tremolo that deepens as your velocity increases. Here is a voice that has a touch-controlled attack. You can do this on every other key if you wish. Remember, each key has its own velocity characteristics, as each voice does. It's truly polyphonic. Here is a popular organ sound. The rotating speaker often associated with its character is brought about by depressing the key faster again. You can literally have some notes rotating while others don't. The next voice has a kind of realism and control associated with an acoustic violin. You can hear just a bit of the bowing as you increase velocity. The dynamic range is very wide. And just as inner string voices like the viola player will often bring out his line louder than the others, you can have each finger supply its own range of dynamics. Subtle mixes of cathedral chorus. Even echo effects can be controlled by touch. Here is an echo whose time is controlled by how lightly or quickly you touch the keys. The flute has breath. The sax is mellow and melodic. The touch sensitivity has been assigned to make the timbre changes that you get when you activate the reed of a sax with more air. The trumpet has the buzzing of the lips voiced with it. While the cathedral organ adds stops by depressing with more velocity. Two sounds on one voice activated by your fingers. Here is a full sound with the touch controlling volume and attack. On the light touch of this next voice, we get a sweep of modulation. When we depress more quickly, the modulation no longer exists, and the sound is a great lead line synthesizer. There are hundreds of sound effects possible by touch, too. The right side of the Synergy panel has a tuning control in case you want to deviate from the A440 that it comes up with each time you turn it on. To the far right of the panel is a cartridge slot that opens up a whole new world for keyboard players. The insertion of a voice cartridge can add 24 more voices to your keyboard, a total of 48 now, each again with a whole range of separate characteristics, all by touch control. Here are several of the possible voices from different cartridges. You can hear the expressive changes by the keyboard velocity by listening yourself. There's a little space in between each sound so you can hear what each voice is capable of doing. From acoustical representations through mellow synthesizers to rock and roll guitars and sound effects, each voice offers the widest range of expressive properties that you can adjust yourself. But we've only scratched the surface. The capabilities of the Synergy in live performance are many, many more. Before I tell you about the voice assignment modes and digital recorder, here are a few points for you to think about. Every time you want a fresh set of 24 voices, you can purchase a new voice cartridge at your Synergy dealer. Voice cartridges will be made throughout the year with new sounds and effects generated from the people owning General Development Systems. The best of these are made into cartridges for your Synergy. Each set of 24 voices costs about 3% of the original price of your instrument. This will ensure that you can have a brand new set of sounds for years to come, as often as you need and at a fraction of the cost. Not only that, but the cartridge port is used by your service center for an automatic self-diagnostic test program that solves service needs quickly. That cartridge port has a big future too, since we're working on having it do other things to help you expand your Synergy. The Synergy has a voice assign section, which lets you choose the way up to 4 voices interact with each other. In the unison mode, you can play each voice by itself polyphonically. Also in this mode, you can layer another timbre from another voice with it. This can be done with up to 4 voices to make 1- and 2-note lead line synthesizers of 4 different qualities each. The rolling mode lets you alternate voices automatically. Each key down is one of the 4 voices you selected. First available lets you do voice leading. The first key down will always be the first voice selected, the second key the second voice, and so forth. The next mode is key split. You can program the split between 2 voices to be anywhere along the 74-key keyboard you want. A unique mode is the floating split mode. In this almost magical mode, the left and right hands seem to have their respective voices track them up and down the keyboard as if the key split were moving to accommodate their positions. You can even choose modes where you have a key split and rolling capabilities. Whenever you find a combination of voices and modes that you want to keep and use often, you can store that combination in the programmer. There are 4 programs for up to 4 voice combinations each for the internal voices, and another set of 4 for the cartridge voices, giving you 8 complex programs at the touch of a switch. These programs and every change you make to each of the voices, touch sensitivity, vibratos, portamentos, pitch bends, or whatever, are remembered for 10 years by a special long-life battery backup system. You can also restore any voice back to its original settings, or restore the entire Synergy back to the way you bought it with a combination of 2 switches. There's nothing like being able to record your own music. The Synergy lets you do this with more features than conventional sequencers. Right on the front panel, there is a 4-track digital recording sequencer that lets you overdub up to 4 tracks of polyphonic playing. Here is how it's done in real time. We can speed it up without affecting the pitch because it's digital. And we can transpose the entire sequence with the transposing keyboard range. Each track can be played separately or be repeated automatically, and even trigger other tracks to join in. In most cases, you can still play along with the sequence. The recorder doesn't just remember the rhythm and pitch, it remembers tempo changes and expressive changes that you've made with the touch-sensitive keyboard. You can even use the same sequence with a different set of voices from the cartridge. The sequencer has over 1,800 notes it can record, either on 1 track or divided in any way you want over the 4 tracks. A space indicator begins flashing and speeding up as you approach the sequencer's capacity. All the sounds demonstrated here have been produced in real time with no effects except for reverb and no overdubs except for the sequencer explanation. In a recording studio, the possibilities are just fantastic. Because the Synergy is all digital, the quality is super clean and transparent. Unlike many other types of synthesizers, you can lay down track after track and each will still retain its identity. It won't become lost in the overdubs. No instrument has ever been offered as expressive as the Synergy. No instrument will keep its value like the Synergy. It looks as sophisticated as it sounds. Even the LEDs are programmed to tell you what's going on all the time. And there are a lot of little surprises we just don't have time to talk about here. You can see and hear the Synergy at your authorized Synergy dealer. Spend a little time with it. It'll be a keyboard unlike anything you've ever experienced. The Synergy from Digital Keyboards Incorporated.